We want to begin with a disclaimer. As a melanin-dominant human being, I refuse to let Julius Caesar, Pope Gregory, Muhammad, or anyone control my worldview. Therefore, I do not celebrate New Year. We want to look at 2022, their year, now into another. But as taught by our ancient ancestors and sages, and modern scholars like Babu Credo Mutwa and Mkulu Singiza, we've got our own new year that begins in the month of Lowetse, Tara, Kumukab, Lwetse, Kubvumedzi, Jati, Lewedi, Msinti, Inyoni, Ukuku la Mungu, Umandulo, Gunyana. For those that are still stuck in the Roman wave, you have to realize that the oldest and most universal celebrated holiday today, the New Year, is not the oldest. The tradition of celebrating New Year's Day started by the Romans in 153 BCE, and the Romans used to celebrate their New Year on March the 1st according to the old Roman calendar. In 1582, Pope Gregory changed it and made the Gregorian calendar, and they use January 1 as his New Year. So there was a change there. So when you are celebrating anything and calculating it basing on January 1, it's not even a New Year according to the Gentiles. The agenda that we want to look at for the year 22, their year, and now into another, includes this war in Europe, the health pandemic machinations towards another pandemic 2025, unipolar dictatorship through rigged elections, electronic elections, satanic forces in sports and celebrity lives, religion, and how you can wake up. So we are aware that the year 2022 began with a bang. On Thursday, 24 February, the Russians invaded Ukraine, and so far the world is in the grip of nuclear war, human suffering, pain, and a lot of us are looking and thinking that Putin is the savior of diversity, of sanity, and a multipolar world. Or maybe he is part of the gangsters that are ruining the earth. This war in Ukraine, the question is who benefits? Clearly, it is the arms dealers that are profiting from the Ukraine war. No human being, ordinary human being in the streets or in Ukraine is benefiting. The United States is all benefiting because it's selling natural gas to Europe since they destroyed the Nord Stream pipeline. And also the dollar is going to be strengthened amid the current Ukraine crisis. The dollar will be undoubtedly strengthened as Europe is no longer considered safe. Russia and the European Union trade has been disrupted. And the substantial profit in this war is accumulating into the industrial complex shareholders. At the end of the day, we also have a shocking revelation that comes from 2022, revealing the details about Putin. A Russian chancellor claimed that President Vladimir Putin is controlled by reptile aliens. He said that in parliament, and that they are advising him in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Shown clearly here. According to the Daily Star, Simon Parks, the Labour councillor who represents Whitby in North Yorkshire, believes the reptilians gangs are named the Nordics and that they are the ones that are behind it. But the question that we really want to ask, that because of these events of 2022 and you celebrate it and you celebrate the New Year, do you realize that there could be or there is a non-human force orchestrating world events and also influencing you to celebrate this New Year? Remember the story of aliens in Roswell? Could ancient aliens, alien reptiles, be manipulating human affairs and human history? Clearly, when you look on the other side, we can realize that there is a force behind the presidency in America. You can see in this image two future United States presidents, Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon, pictured with Harvey Hancock standing and others at Bohemian Grove in the summer of 1967. And what do they do at Bohemian Grove? There is a lot of rituals that they do, and the cremation of care ritual, in which every rich person and most powerful person in the world witnesses or participates for 2 weeks in heavy drinking, super secret talks, druid worship, and also other rituals like sacrificing people to the altar or to Moloch. There is also an area in America known as Area 51, where it is said it is unlawful to enter that area without permission of the installation commander. And there's a section and an act in the United States Constitution that bars you from entering that place. While in the installation, even though you are allowed, you are not allowed to take pictures or to do anything. And for those that think they can dash in and get crushed, remember, use of deadly force is authorized. So who is there at that place? It is the aliens. It's very, very clear. So this year, their year, the Roman 2022, has emphasized to us that the world is being overrun by a non-human force, a human-hating force, a reptilian force, reptilian religion. This unnatural spirit is spilling over into 2023 with all the venom and all the control it has over governments, and creating bloodshed, human pain, war and suffering for its own sustenance. What must you do as their new year has begun, and which will hasten perhaps more evil vibes? What you need to do is to counter it and vibrate pure love and have no fear. As we continue to look at this year, we want to consider the pandemic. In their year 2022, the pandemic became subtle, pervasive, and hidden because of the war in Ukraine. It just vanished from the media because it was planned to be like that. It's not a coincidence. At the same time, China is about to unleash a far more potent wave. Why? To usher in global passports. Why do they need these global passports? So that they can make sure that every human being has been vaccinated. Remember this. The Russia-Ukraine conflict that began on Thursday, 24 February, coincided with the implementation in Hong Kong by China of COVID contact apps on passports and COVID passports, which will allow you to go into shopping malls and also allow you to fly across or in the world. This is the model, the Chinese model of global passports based on digital tracing and vaccine passport. So it's coming, and it's said we have seen it because of 2022. We want to look at also another thing that we learned in 2022. That is the power of the big pharma. Because, you know, the aliens are ahead of the masses by hundreds of years. As already indicated, in 1967, at Bohemian Grove, Ronald Reagan was already there attending the Bohemian Grove, and he was being prepared to usher in certain mandates of the aliens. Same with Richard Nixon, who immediately in 1974 removed the power of gold in determining the currency of a country, thereby giving massive monopoly power to the elite family that have authority and power to print currencies and run reserve banks for any country on earth. So Big Pharma, when they manufacture anything like the vaccines, you cannot sue them if you suffer from vaccine injury, because of what Ronald Reagan did in 1986 when he signed in the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act that has been duplicated all over the earth. So Big Pharma has had plans for the development of 271 new vaccines covering an array of diseases. No vaccine manufacturer shall be liable for damages arising from a vaccine-related injury or death. So this is what we saw massively displayed in 2022. It also followed the trampling of personal liberties by Big Pharma, orchestrated policies in governments. You have no freedom of choice. This was manifested during 2022 pandemic management processes to make sure and to be proof sure that there is a non-human force, a hateful force running governments. This didn't begin yesterday it began some time back, when mandatory vaccinations were orchestrated and pushed by the governments. Big Pharma has invented its profit flywheel, where they tweak COVID variants and the government goes to buy their products. And you can see surely that names are actually running out for these variances, and they are now looking to the stars to get more names. At the same time, they want to make their subtle move to force vaccinations on all humans through the use of digital passport. This is in preparation of all what we learned, that there are future pandemics. They've already mimicked and modeled these future pandemics. The Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, in partnership with WHO and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, conducted Catastrophic Contagion, a pandemic tabletop exercise at the Grand Challenges annual meeting in Brussels, Belgium, on October 23, 2022. And Bill Gates is known to have said that although there were dramatic risks reduced during COVID, he said another pandemic is coming. That's what we learned in 2022. We are moving towards a unipolar dictatorship through rigging of elections, electronic rigging of elections. This was witnessed in Brazil on a large scale, where both parties, led by people that belong to the World Economic Forum, were manipulated because the other one had not pushed the agenda fast enough or clearly enough. So they rigged the elections. He knew that because Jair Bolsonaro has for many years decried the country's electronic voting system, calling it vulnerable to fraud. The same with Trump, the same with a lot of others that are inside. 2022, we also witnessed Satanic Forces in sports and celebrities' life. What began with a few unhinged social media posts and rantings by Kanye West, now known as Ye, culminated in his confirmation that entertainers and celebrities and many other prominent people are engaged in soul-selling activities and full-time demonic veneration. This seemed to have also been confirmed by subsequent events that we saw during the World Cup, where satanic symbols, especially the World Cup logo that was beamed regularly as the games were played, shows that it was a copy of two cobras, two snakes that come from the chest of Baphomet, or one of the entities that spew evil on earth. Many other stadiums had symbols of snakes, symbols that mimicked certain human organs, like this, the Al Janoub Stadium, which caught attention of a lot of people because it resembled a woman's genitalia. It is very sad, or also a serpent's head. This, despite everything that we know, it's what is happening in the world. 2022 also saw the death of one of the greatest footballers in all the world. Pele got his COVID vaccine on 2nd March 2021, and he passed on, unfortunately, on December 29, 2022. And you can clearly see here the number 11. 29 is 11, 22 is 11. This is their code. This is their number. And we know, and we are clearly aware that he thought that this was an unforgettable day. So what do we learn from our celebrities? What do we learn from all this that happened in 2022? We also learned the number 11 playing a prominent role, because FIFA, according to rumors, wanted to keep Pele's feet in the museum. The 2 feet represent 11. Although this was denied and has not been confirmed, because these are rumors. However, we are aware of the numbers that they are playing, 22. What we learn from all these issues and celebrities is that they lack divine wisdom and that they are not connected to their culture. You can watch our video, Shocking Cultural Black Celebrity Trends, and then you can realize how far they are removed from our actual reality as humans on earth. To close off their year, the year 2022, they did so in style with the death of former Pope on 31 December 2022, Pope Benedict XVI. This Pope represents the Catholic Church, represents that it is the oldest and the largest international institution, man-made institution that has been on earth, running smoothly across ages for almost 2,000 years. If as a melanin dominant human being, you are not ashamed of such organizations, you have nothing else to be ashamed of. And really, what do we learn from this? We learn that, as Champollion witnessed, just think about this, that this race of black men, today our slave and the object of our scorn, is the very race which we owe our arts, our sciences, and even the use of speech. If you cannot desire to restore our own organization by knowing the answers to why the Catholics have survived thus far, because they stick to their philosophy, they have a well-planned and a smooth succession process for their organization. They have a lot of financial stability. They have got political influence. They invoke their gods and their ancestors via their sainthood. You and me can do all this 100 times greater than the Catholics. And therefore, that's why we've got Marifado, a great home for people with this inclination and desire. One of the oldest books that our ancestors left for us, so called the Book of the Dead, or Partema Hore, meaning become awake like the heavens. And according to it, according to M.R. Himotep, the Kemetic spirituality that it gives teaches that the uninitiated person is unhealed, person is sick, and he is in a perpetual trance of with the elements, and his way or her way of thinking, emotions, desires, and capabilities that define his or her personality are connected to these elements. So to awaken means you have to trance yourself, to dehypnotize yourself and your consciousness away from the personality that connects you to these evils, and re-establish the identity or the connection with the divine self that lies within your ancestry and your divinities, right up to the chasm. Connect with us to revive the oldest spirituality as we look forward to the in our year. Send us an email on john@marifado.com. Till we meet again, it's your manager Topi, analyzing this year, their year that has passed, and the new that is to come. Amen.